I don't know what to think about hard games. I'm not talking about average games that just ended up being hard. I'm referring to games that were specifically designed to be challenging. It's practically a genre at this point. Super Meat Boy, Cuphead, games like that. You should know what I'm talking about, because they all have similar characteristics. I thought that this wasn't the kind of genre for me, because I prefer my games to be more on the easy side for a chill experience. But there was always that little tug to pull me into playing one. The hype around Celeste and Cuphead was absolutely tremendous, and I played both. Now here's the funny thing about Celeste. I kinda, sorta, really hated it. But Cuphead, that was right up my alley. But I don't exactly know why. Both are as difficult as trying to hang yourself with a spaghetti noodle, which, yes, I did try multiple times after beating Celeste. Did I like these kind of hard games or not? I didn't really know. And 2 years after playing both, that question came up once more. Going into Katana Zero, I knew that it would be one of those games. But I didn't give a crap about that! Look! That dude has a sword! He's slicing people apart! This is so cool! Who doesn't want to be a samurai? You get a cool as frick katana and you can go and oh crap. So I thought I knew what I was getting myself into. Cool action game with fast-paced combat and slick techniques that you need to master to progress, yada yada, sign me up. But that thought ended up being very narrow-minded, because eventually I realized that I had no clue what I was getting myself into. The game begins with a samurai out on a mission to rescue someone. It does a great job settling you in. You're immediately taught about bullet reflection to take out a guard, and then you proceed forward. And on your way in, you receive a phone call from the person you're working for. This teaches you how dialogue is handled, which we'll get into later. The employer tells you something very important though. Leave no survivors. And you do just that. Too bad that we have to do a lame escort mission. I don't get why games do stuff like this that nobody likes. Why even bother? I bet that he's gonna get killed later anyway. Oh. And now this unknown dude comes in and sends in some reinforcements. Keep in mind that up until this point you'd been fighting normal enemies and now they send in ones with guns. So you're either going to have to put your newfound skills to the test, or you can do this. Now, it's time to chill out back at home. I bet you didn't expect there to be much more than some slicing and dicing, but as it turns out, there's more to the game than just that. And I, for one, welcome it. Every level plays out like a day. First, you go to the psychotherapist to discuss a reoccurring dream involving the samurai's past and try and learn more about it. After your appointment, you're given some medicine with undefined effects. Dope up, kill target, go home, repeat. There's a lot more to the story than just that, but even after looking into it, I don't feel like covering it. It's a little hard to follow, and trying to fit it into this video would make the structure completely collapse. As if I wasn't doing enough of that already. But I still like it, and I think it's a good hook to keep you going. There are things outside of the levels that I really loved, like returning back home at the end of each day to get some tea, listen to the news talk about my acts of murder. It feels so great to have a break from the action. Who is playing that music? Anyway, we've got some work to attend to. Each level's goal is to reach the target you were ordered to assassinate. The levels are divided into multiple rooms, each boasting several enemies. Remember this? Yeah, he wasn't referring to the Fortnite player base, he was talking about the guards. Nobody can be left alive among all this bloodshed. Remember, we have to be silent, but deadly. Okay, maybe just deadly. Okay, maybe neither, but you get the point. You have to kill everyone before moving on to the next room, except for these guys, they're pretty cool. If you couldn't tell by the title, the weapon you're working with is obviously a gun. Actually, no. You have to get up close with your katana to slice and dice them. This starts out easy at first, because most enemies don't have the means to retaliate your attacks. But eventually, more enemy types come along that can counter this. You'll get these guys who will block your hits, as well as our boyos with guns. They're extremely difficult to react to. They shoot almost as soon as they see you, making them really difficult to approach. Which is why you have access to a dodge to roll past enemies and avoid gunshots, and the ability to slow down time so you can react better. If you time a strike just right, then you can reflect the bullet right back towards the person who shot it. It's really satisfying. But personally, I prefer to time my rolls just right to where I can safely approach them and then strike them from behind. Something I absolutely love is how you don't have to slow down time to reflect bullets. You see, that ability has limited use, so you won't want it on constantly, so you're encouraged to work without it until you really need it. All of this, paired with the level design that leads to several fun setups and ways you can take out the enemies, makes this game an absolute blast. I love it when you're given an object to throw or something in the environment to mess with. It makes you feel even more like a badass. But you can only take one hit before you die and you have to restart the room. Like, it's a bit annoying, but the game never gets stale. Maybe that's the reason why I didn't like Celeste. I don't find it as satisfying to complete a small platforming challenge than beating a tough boss. That's probably also why I didn't like the levels in Cuphead either. That, and there was one specific way you had to play each section with no major deviations. All you do is repeat the same gosh frickin' darn sequence over and over again until you get it right. That ain't fun. That's tedious. In Katana Zero though, you aren't simply going through a level, you have to kill a group of enemies. I don't know about you, but taking down each opponent one by one is a lot more rewarding. And to top it off, the level design encourages unique approaches because of all the tools in your disposal. When I get past a room in this game, I don't feel like, oh finally, that's over with. No. Instead, I think, bro, that was McDonald's, you deserve epic. I don't have a whole lot of issues, but I do wish that the levels had better endings. You expect there to be a boss at the end of each one, but they usually end up either getting killed or already being dead. Seriously, once you reach the first guy, he's all like, how about new? Even when there were bosses, they were just okay. I found them fun, but they're really short just to compensate for you dying in one hit. So there you have it, a great fast-paced action game. There's a lot of other games that can be described that way though. When I went into this, that's all I expected. But I got more. A lot more. A lot of stuff I didn't even know I wanted. There is a story, of course, and like I said earlier, I didn't want to talk about it. But there is one thing I feel like I should dedicate some time to. The dialogue. When you're talking to somebody, some text options will appear, but they usually result in the same thing with a few exceptions. Yeah, it wouldn't be a modern game if your choices actually mattered, but I don't really mind that here. This game wasn't selling itself on choices anyway, plus the dialogue options give me a sense of interaction. You can even interrupt characters mid-sentence, which can lead to interesting results. I suggest you don't do that since it usually just skips everything the character was going to tell you. Usually. There are moments where this route they took to handle the dialogue worked out so well. The psychotherapy sessions are a good example of that. Plus here, you can actually affect something, which if you pay attention to some of the text, you might catch on like I did. There are a lot of other minor things you can change depending on which options you take, but there's also plenty of neat bonuses you can discover if you look hard enough or take certain actions. So, if you want a little more to do, then I recommend looking into that. Adding to the dialogue are the characters, which this game has a nice host of, such as this little girl you see every time you come home, or V, this dude who wants to work with you, but once you refuse him, he becomes hellbent on killing you. I really enjoy the character interaction. No matter how little the options may or may not change the outcomes of certain events, they're still handled well and make me become invested in the conversations. The game has a lot of little things about it that I absolutely adore. I already enjoyed the gameplay, but the sections between each level are so good. I found consulting with the psychotherapist intriguing. I liked the interactions with the little girl. There's so much more here than I thought, and it made for a very pleasant surprise. At the start of each level, Zero, that's his name, will put on a tape recorder and start listening to some music. But whenever he stumbles across something important, he turns off the music. It literally stops playing. everyone be bopping till the man takes out his earbuds. Hey, I just thought I'd let you know, in the script, I wrote, we'll start playing some music. Also, this game's a real mind fricker. Not just a somewhat hard to follow story, no. It'll have some moments that will have you asking, what is going on? And I thought I was going to bring up an example here, but I've decided against it. This whole game, it really is something. It has a little bit of everything I could ask for. Fun gameplay, crazy moments, and under all that, a comfortable feel. It already delivered on great gameplay, but gave me more stuff that I liked that I didn't even expect it to have. And there's plenty of replay value too. Even if you don't like replaying the levels over and over again to get better at them, there's still a lot of quality of life speedrunning options. And there is the little bonus thing. Not going to spoil what it is, but it really does take me back to the days of Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Kirby's Dream Land 2. You might know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is a real goodie. Highly recommended if you're interested. Hope you like it as much as I did. I'm Luggician, and thank you very much for watching.